Welcome to the How to Write a Book podcast. It is mid-November. It is November 15th, which means we are halfway through our wonderful month of guest speakers daily on the show, as well as halfway through NaNoWriMo. So in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about motivation. What happens when you hit a wall? What happens when you're halfway through and you hit a slump? As well as where I'm at in my writing process during Nano. A little bit of a spoiler. I totally try to bulk ahead of time. So we'll get more into that. Y'all, this is all about motivation in this episode. So join me as we talk about how you hit that mid slump and really just how are you going to push through. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the How to Write a Book podcast, the show that helps you plan, write, and publish your book, even if you're a beginner or just feel like one. Now, for your host, she's written over a dozen books and helps others bring their books to life. Here she is, Massiel.
Hey there, writers. Let's take a beat to talk about a special announcement. So November is your month of transformation. Get a 1-hour coaching session with me by choosing one of these 3 options, or all 3. Option 1, join our Patreon for $1, which will support the show. Option 2, book a $1 coaching session on coach.me. Option 3, leave an Apple Podcasts review. Send a screenshot to my email and get a coaching spot. You can do all 3 and get 3 hours of coaching with me. Find all the links in the show notes. Act fast. This offer is only valid for November to celebrate National Novel Writing Month. Thanks. Welcome back, everyone, to the How to Write a Book podcast. How are you doing today? How are you doing? I hope it's amazing. In case my voice is a little bit lower, there are a couple of reasons for that. One, I went to a concert the other day, and I think I screamed too loudly. I'm not gonna lie. So it's a little bit sore. Secondly, I have been really leaning into myself as a night owl. And so what does that mean? It means that other people in my household are not night owls. They have jobs to wake up to and go to early in the morning. So I have to drop my voice a little bit, maybe smooth jazz voice, smooth jazz. All right. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about some midway motivation, conquering the writing slump. So it is day 15 in National Novel Writing Month, which means that we are halfway through the challenge. Whether you are participating or not, you are part of this community now because you listen to these episodes. You now have it in your head and you are cheering yourself on, whether that's internally or externally. You're cheering on the writers. You are being part of these discussions. And with these discussions comes that seed of maybe I can do this. Maybe I should do this. I am doing it. We're doing it. So welcome to this community. And if you're just diving in, that is okay. Go ahead, get in there, start writing. Where am I in my current work in progress? I'm actually on track. I just passed 26,000 words yesterday, and I have been writing every day. I missed one day. Oh, and you know what I did? I put it on my calendar after that because I thought, it's NaNoWriMo. I'm going to remember this stuff. I'll remember that. And I didn't remember, so much going on at work, and then you got this and that's happening, and I forgot. I forgot. And so as soon as it had struck midnight or something, and I kind of went ooh, oh my God, I forgot. So I was like, okay, not again. So I put on my calendar, 8 p.m. every night, NaNoWriMo. And it's been helping so far. The one caveat is that I tend to put my phone on sleep mode, it goes onto sleep mode pretty early so I don't get notifications, and so my calendar is not always making it through, but I do tend to check my schedule before the next day, so it has been working so far. That's been pretty helpful. Of course, I'm leaning into dictation, which has been very helpful, so I was able to get 16,000 words last Friday. Not this Friday, but last Friday. And I just really dug into an existing pre-writing session that I had, and I was able to knock it out. It was awesome. It was 2 hours of work, and I had my recorder on, and I said, I'm going to do this. And actually it was great because I was traveling from one city to another, which would take an hour, and I had my dictation device, and I was just going for it. I'm just going to lean into anything that sparks joy in me, whether that's a coffee filter on the table of my story, or it's a grand scene, or maybe somebody's history of their grandfather. I was going to lean into it, and it was very helpful and also very exciting. And still, my voice is actually a little bit sore still from that session. I did learn some new things about my voice sessions, so I'm excited to lean into that. I'm going to be looking more into like vocal coaching, like how do you maintain your voice over a long period of time. One of the things for sure I noticed is that if I lower my voice, I was able to kind of take the pressure off of my vocal cords, which was very helpful. So that's kind of something that I'm doing right now, especially because I'm still a little bit sore from screaming at the concert. So clearly not working entirely. So NaNoWriMo's been going well overall, and I have hit that slump. I'm a little bit like, well, what do I do next? So I've decided to outline even further. I have taken my characters out. I've taken a look at the arcs, taken a look at my pre-writing sessions, and I have really taken a moment with myself to say, what do we want to see next? Where do I want to go next with this story? And that's been helpful for me. Now, it has slowed me down. I've been trying to do like a little bit of words here and there while I'm outlining. But I can tell that I'm feeling a little bit more confident for the second half of this month, which I think is going to be helpful because then as we hit Thanksgiving in the U.S., that tends to get into a way more crunch time. And so it's going to be very helpful for me to just plow through. I'm not going to focus on the perfection of the story because that stops us. We're just going to go through it and get the words on the page. So I want to offer a couple of tips to help you get through the possible midway writing slump that, either it's happening because of the word count or it's happening because, just doing anything for 15 days can take some motivation out of you. So why don't we go ahead and let's dive in. So what are some common challenges that writers face in the middle of the project? I think the first one is confusion. You're not sure, where are my characters going to go? What happens next? Is this a strong enough character arc? Now, one of the things I would love to encourage you to do is continue to write. Just continue to face that page and say, I'm going to produce content and I'm going to really focus on what inspires me. Now, take a moment to hold that in. Really take a moment and ask yourself, what would spark joy in the next scene? I will give you go ahead a couple of seconds. So after you've kind of asked yourself this, now ask, what would be the next scene that would allow me to feel joy? And what are the common things that you're seeing in that? Do you feel like you're leaning towards some romance scenes, maybe some action scenes, maybe some emotional depth scenes? And if any of that's happening, lean into it and create additional scenes that follow that pattern, because clearly that's what's really speaking to you. I want you to do that, and I want you to lean into it and create a little bit of an action plan. It doesn't have to be, a very detailed step 1, 2, 3. Just give yourself some rough ideas. All right. The next challenge that you might be facing is actual time constraints. You might actually be telling yourself, I thought I was going to be able to do this, but now it's been very difficult to get even 15 minutes in the day. Okay, let's sit down. Let's ask, hey, if this was a project for somebody else, how would you make it work? If this was a project for work, what would you do to make sure it actually worked out? Now, that might come to an actual scheduling conflict. Maybe you need to ask your spouse for an additional 15 minutes to watch over the house. Or maybe you need to grab a dictation device like I do. Or perhaps you wanted to watch that movie on Friday night, but instead you're going to use it for writing time. You really scrutinize where you think that you can improve, because that is going to help you to understand an action plan to move forward. You kind of sense the theme here, right? We need to find where we are letting ourselves down and create an action plan to move forward. So another challenge, which ties into this, is your own motivation and self-doubt. You might be like, it's not good enough, man, I suck. And this can actually creep up from a lot of different areas, but it disguises itself. So you might say, I just don't have enough time. But really, you're just feeling self-doubt. Or like, it's just not working as far as seeing direction, but you're not confident in your story. So what are some things that we can do to break that down even further, right? And so that's one of the things I'm trying to challenge you to do, is ask yourself, how can I move around this? How can I move with this? If this was somebody else's project, what would I do to make it happen? Because that's one of the key things I find, is that you have it inside of you. You totally can do this. It's just that when it's about us, we get a little bit scared, a little bit like, oh my gosh, no. And I found that to be true when I had to face that within my own projects. When it came to me, I had 1,000 excuses. But when it came to doing it for somebody else, I was like, let's do this. Let's grab this. Let's make sure we create that. There's so many different things that we can do. And it was so exciting and 100% jet fueled. But when it came to myself, suddenly I don't have time. And so as you're kind of facing this midway slump, ask yourself really, what is going on? Break down those challenges into further steps, micro things. What's actually happening? Now, don't forget to give yourself those quick motivational boosts. Also look for affirmations, look for places for inspiration, just like this podcast. If you need more motivation, go out there and give yourself the permission to access it, because that's going to really help you. Also look for community connection. Go into NaNoWriMo. Even if you're not writing or participating, find like-minded people. The really cool thing about NaNoWriMo is that no matter where you are in the world, you could probably find a group of people near you that are participating in Nano. And that's going to help you to really feel inspired. Or you can join the virtual write-ins. Those are really fun. I think they're cool just to be part of. Then you start writing and you can listen to authors. Super cool. I love that. Now, if you need a little bit more of a motivational boost, let's go over a couple of authors who, whether they've said it themselves or it's been rumored, have participated their works in NaNoWriMo. All right, author number 1, Rainbow Rowell, the best-selling author of Eleanor and Park and Fangirl. She mentioned that she participates in NaNoWriMo. I love Rainbow Rowell. Oh my gosh. The first book I read was Carry On? Yeah, Carry On. So good. Oh my gosh. I think it was Carry On. Now I'm wondering if I'm confusing that with a third title. Okay, I read the whole series. Let's just say that. I read the whole series. The Simon Snow trilogy. Beautiful, beautiful books. Very unconventional. I loved it. Second book, Erin Morgenstern, the author of The Night Circus, y'all. Probably, I think, the most popular NaNoWriMo book, I believe. I think it's, hit the bestsellers list. It had a very unique cover. Lots of people refer to that book as kind of like a NaNoWriMo staple. The third book, Hugh Howey, known for his science fiction series Wool. Now, Howie has also acknowledged participating in NaNoWriMo. I've never read Wool, but Hugh Howey's book, Wool, was a total disruptor. I mean, how he went about pursuing his own publication really dropped the big stone in the lake that was traditional publishing. Because of what Hugh Howey could accomplish in independent publishing, then that's what people said, I can do this myself too. This is possible. He made that happen. So that's excellent that he participated, because without that, a lot of us wouldn't be here. Our businesses, our books, etc. Number 4, Sarah Gruen, the author of Water for Elephants, has also mentioned using NaNoWriMo as a motivator. Now, I've actually never read Water for Elephants, but I heard it's good. Also heard the movie was good. Didn't watch that either. Y'all can tell. I'm like, all right. Maybe not my kind of cup of tea. But, I mean, literary work, something that's highly praised. Very cool. And the fifth is Marissa Meyer, the author of the Lunar Chronicles series. And she's been very open about participating in NaNoWriMo and finding success through that challenge. So there are probably way more authors than that that have been traditionally or independently published, but that serves as a kind of reminder that you can do this too. You know, everybody starts somewhere, and if you're hitting that slump, go ahead and investigate it. Dig into it. Give yourself a chance to analyze. Sit there with it and say, I'm going to poke at you. I'm going to figure out what you are, and then I'm going to overcome you so I can finish out the month strong. Because you can. Your story matters. You can do this. All right, y'all. Let's get back to writing. We'll see you tomorrow. Keep going. And thanks for joining us on the How to Write a Book podcast.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the How to Write a Book podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you want to keep up with me and my work, check out the website blackheartedstudios.com. That's www.blackheartedstudios.com. And follow me on Instagram at Massiel Writes. That's at Massiel Writes. As a book coach and publisher, I'm passionate about helping aspiring authors bring their stories to life. So if you've been dreaming of writing a book and don't know where to start, head to my website and let's chat. You get a free 30 minutes on me. Thanks again for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks.